Seated. All righty. Just a couple quick announcements. Today is picture day. So if you did not brush your hair, if you did not do your makeup, it's okay. Well, we're all taking pictures together as English congregation. Our pictures are downstairs at 1:30, and stick around for a half hour after that for our Eileen pictures. If you attend Love Thy Neighbor on Saturdays, please stick around. Our pictures are at 2 o'clock, so it's downstairs in the sanctuary probably. I don't know, I saw the big lights in the overflow room, but probably they'll move that into the sanctuary after service. So please come, please stick around after lunch, or if you need to go home, if you need, if your grandma or grandpa expects you to be there for lunch, please return and come take your picture with all of us, okay? Any other announcements? I think that's it. All right. Let's open up our Bibles. We are in Hosea chapter 8. Hosea chapter 8, that is page 755 if you're working off your church Bibles. 755. I don't know about you, but as I go shopping for a lot of things, one of the big temptations is to, instead of go with like the expensive stuff, to go for the knockoffs. Like, sure, I could pay, $200 for Apple iPods or whatever they cost. Or I could get, wireless white pod, OPod brand from Temu at 1/10 of the price maybe. Or I might want them designer bags or glasses or shoes, but then I'm wandering around Flushing and Chinatown and I'm like, well, this person is selling, it's not Coach, but it's Coach, and it looks pretty similar, and so maybe I don't have the hundreds of dollars to spend on a Coach. Maybe spending $30 on a Coach would be just as good. We face these temptations to go with knockoffs because, well, first of all, the price for the original item is so high. And we're like, well, how can I get, we want the original item because it works better maybe, it's higher quality, or you know that socially it looks better, you can show it off, you can brag about it, bring some kind of social standing or reputation with it. And so you want some of those things that come with the name brand thing, but you don't want to pay the price of the name brand thing. Because it's so expensive. You're just paying for the name. But the problem with getting the off-brand knockoffs is it can be dangerous. Right? There's constant warnings coming in from the government or watchdog groups, like especially with electronics, like the AirPods you put in your ears, they contain rechargeable batteries. The rechargeable batteries, those are the things that are usually catching on fire when they get thrown out in the garbage trucks. And you're putting that directly in your ear. How close is that to your brain? Apple or Samsung, although name brands, right, they put a lot of, thought, and they go through a lot of regulations to make sure that the rechargeable battery in that thing is safe and it's not going to explode and blow your brains out. But you get the knockoff. It's cheap because it hasn't been through all the quality checks, hasn't gone through all the paperwork, hasn't gone through all the testing, and so you get these things blowing up, whether it's an earpod, or scooters going around the scooters, anything with a rechargeable battery. If it's a knockoff, there's a greater chance that it's going to explode and catch fire and do some damage. Or if you get caught with a knockoff, designer bag, and you told you went around, maybe you didn't say it with your mouth, like, I've got a designer bag, but just having it with you, you want to show off. And people are like, oh, it's got the designer. And then they look closer, like, Coach? And instead of, your popularity, your social standing going up, it's suddenly going down further than it was before. And then you're suddenly in a worse situation. So there's these dangers that come with knockoff products, health-wise, status-wise. Why do I bring that up? Because chapter 8 says that Israel has been turning themselves into a nation of knockoffs. Let's start reading. Chapter 8, verse 1. Set the trumpet to your lips. One like a vulture is over the house of the Lord, because they have transgressed my covenant and rebelled against me, my law. To me they cry, my God, we, Israel, know you. Israel has spurned the good. The enemy shall pursue him. That is to say, in the language that I've been using so far, Israel has said, I don't want to pay the price of the name brand God. Right? I don't want him. I'm going to settle for knockoffs. God is going to give these warnings throughout this passage of the dangers of knockoffs. Now, I'm not the point of the sermon is not for you to go back home and tell your parents, the pastor said this morning, I need all name brand stuff. Knockoffs are unacceptable. That's not the point. So let's cut that off right now. Don't go back to your parents. Don't say that. But spiritually speaking, yes, do pay attention to that. Right, so God is going to Israel. He's warning them. Set a trumpet to your lips. That's warning. Set a trumpet in warning. They didn't have the alarms, whatever. Their trumpets were the alarms to call people to attention. One like a vulture is over the house of the Lord. Could be translated vulture, could be translated eagle. They're not really sure what kind of bird is in mind, but there's some kind of attack happening. Something bad is going on, and God says, it's because my people have transgressed my covenant and rebelled against my law. They've rejected God. And what does it mean that they've rejected God? God says in verse 3 is what they say. They're still kind of paying lip service to God. They're like, my God, we know you. We're your people. They don't care about God, right? This is the whole point of Hosea is they've cheated on God. They might be, legally on the books, the wife of God. But their heart is far from God. They want no relationship. They've been committing adultery all over the place. And so verse 2 is, they say this, they give God lip service, but they don't want God at all. So verse 3, Israel has spurned the good. They say, God, you're the OG, you're the brand name, but we don't want you. We don't want to pay the price. We don't want to give you your worship. We don't want to listen to what you have to say. And so God's warning them, the enemy shall pursue them. Right? So these things, God, when you replace God, of course, you have to replace him with something else. You can't survive off nothing. In science, we always say nature abhors a void. So as soon as you get rid of something, something else comes to take its place. And to replace God, you've got to replace him with a whole lot of stuff, because God is, God's God, and he does so much for us. And so as Israel is replacing God with knockoffs, they're going to replace God with a whole lot of different knockoffs. And God's warning them. Where you're going to end up, those things that you're trying to get from these knockoffs that you used to get from me, it's going to land you in a worse place than you were before. Right? So be careful, be aware on this path that you're going to. All right, so let's look at the first knockoff. The first knockoff is, right, they want to replace God. They say no to God, don't want the original. So the first question is, well, then who's going to lead us? Right, they're a nation. Who's going to lead us? It used to be God led us. If we've rejected God, now who's going to lead us? Verse 4, they made kings, but not through me. They set up princes, but I knew that not. With their silver and gold, they made idols for their own destruction. All right, so instead of God leading his people, they have decided we're going to get kings. Right? That's originally how Israel lands with King Saul. Right? Back in the Old Testament. The Old Testament, Israel said, we don't want to be ruled by God. We want to look like everyone else. We want a king. And when Samuel complains to God, God responds back, they haven't rejected you, but they've rejected me. So just the fact that Israel has human kings was already a rejection of God. God's going to redeem them. God's going to bring them back, as he always does with Jesus, because Jesus is going to be not only of the line of David, but he's also going to be God. And so he's looking forward to a time when God's people are finally ruled by God directly again, led by God, not led by human wisdom and understanding. So, but in the meantime, they're choosing God. They're choosing men to lead them. And what are the people they pick? Now that they've rejected God, they've chosen people not through me. They haven't even asked God now. Like originally, back in the Old Testament, they asked God, who's going to lead us? And God picked the person. But now they pick people, they don't even ask God. Don't even pray about it. God has no part of this decision-making process. And you've chosen princes but I knew it not. That is not to say that God, was lacking in knowledge. But remember, this kind of knowledge is a relational knowledge. That they've picked people that don't even know God. It's bad enough that they've picked people to lead them that, they haven't even prayed about it. They haven't even, asked the priests to ask God. They've chosen people to lead them that have no idea who God is, that don't worship God, don't love God, don't follow God. These are their knockoff brand leadership. And it gets worse. Right, they're silver and gold. They've made idols for their own destruction. So not only have they set up, human leaders that don't know God, they've also set up gods that aren't even gods, idols made out of silver and gold. They've replaced God with that's the good, the best thing, with those things that have no power. They've got leaders that don't know the right way to do, don't know the right way to rule, that don't know God. They've chosen little gods over idols that don't have any power. And so we see the result down in verse 7. Oh, I didn't read a couple more verses. Verse 5. I've spurned your calf, O Samaria. My anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? That calf is probably talking about the idols that were set up in Samaria, which were state-sanctioned as long as northern Israel remained as a nation. As the whole time the kingdom of Israel was divided north and south, these idols were there. That's how bad the northern Israel kingdom was. For it is from Israel, a craftsman made it. It is not God. The calf of Samaria shall be broken to pieces. And here's God's warning. For they sow the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. They've set up these fakes, and they're powerless. It's like sowing in the wind. Wind can't hold the seeds. It can't grow anything. You can't expect anything in return. There's not going to be anything to eat. But yet it's worse than that. Not only they're not going to have anything to eat, they're going to get a whirlwind back. Not only they're not going to have crops, now they're going to have a metaphorical typhoon, hurricane come through. God says things are going to be worse for you because of these knockoffs. Where was I? Second part of verse 7. The standing grain has no heads. It shall yield no flour. If it were to yield, strangers would devour it. God says, you're not going to get anything. And even if you were, it's kind of like an ancient Hebrew way of saying it, you're absolutely not going to get anything. Even if it were to bud, then someone else would take it. All right, so they've rejected God, rejected the brand name, and this is the knockoff leadership that they're stuck with. Now they have to ask the question, well, we've gotten rid of God. Who's going to love us? Because God's not only our leadership, kind of in a vertical direction, but he's also our lover in a horizontal fashion. Right? That's why God speaks about his relationship with Israel as a husband-wife relationship. So now we've rejected God. Now who's going to love us? And he gives the really depressing answer. Verse 8, Israel is swallowed up. Already they are among the nations as a useless vessel. For they have gone up to Assyria, a wild donkey, wandering alone. Ephraim has hired lovers. Though they hired allies among the nations, I will soon scatter them up, and the king and princes shall soon writhe because of the tribute. Because Ephraim has multiplied altars for sinning, they've become to him altars for sinning. Were I to write for him my laws by the 10,000s, they would be regarded as a strange thing. They had a husband in God, and because they've rejected their rightful husband, they're lonely. And what do? They hire companionship. That's like if you had a girlfriend and you broke up your girlfriend just to rent a girlfriend for the day. Like, why would you do that? Why would you get rid of the brand name and go for the knockoff? But this is what Israel's doing. He said, goodbye, husband. I'm going to pay for the pool boy for a day, whatever. And so this is what Israel's doing. He's going to different other nations. Be my lover, be my friend, be my sanctuary, be my special relationship. They've replaced God with kind of like a mercenary kind of relationship. So it's sad. So they've spurned God, and God says what's going to happen to them in verse 13 is this. As for my sacrificial offerings, they sacrifice meat and eat it, but the Lord does not accept them. Right? They're just kind of giving lip service. They don't really want God. Now he will remember their iniquity and punish their sins, and they shall return to Egypt. Remember, it was God that brought them out of Egypt. Saying they're going to return to Egypt is a way of saying that he's going to abandon them. He's going to give up on them. Like, you want a relationship with me, then sure. Go your own way. Go back to Egypt. go back to captivity, God's going to release his protective hand upon them. He's going to say, just do your own thing. It's probably the most frightening thing God can say to humanity. Go, chase your sin. Indulge in it as much as you want. And I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to put limits on it. You go for it. So they replace God. Who's going to lead them? Men that don't know, people who don't know who God is, idols that don't have any power. They replace God. Who's going to love? Who's going to love them? They're going to have to pay for people to love them. They're going to have to, get people attach themselves to people who don't really care about them. And lastly, if they replace God, if they don't want God, who's going to protect them? Verse 14, our final verse. For Israel has forgotten his maker and built palaces, and Judah has multiplied fortified cities. Now, there's nothing wrong with palaces and fortified cities, just like there's nothing wrong with having a security system in your house or locking the doors of your car. But when that is the basis for all of your security in life, then that's gone horribly, horribly wrong. So here, they've built palaces, they've built fortified cities, and they're not depending on God. They don't care about what God's doing. They're like, we don't need God. We've gotten this nice wall. We've got these nice palaces. We don't need to pay for the brand name. We've got the knockoff. God says, second part of that verse, and Judah has I read that. So I will send a fire upon his cities, and it shall devour her strongholds. God's going to bring them to a place where this is going to, their walls of the cities are going to mean absolutely nothing, which is going to happen very soon to Israel, historically speaking. Pretty soon, Assyria is going to come through. They're going to raise everything to the ground. It's all going to be burned up. And Israel is going to be shown that these knockoffs don't cut it. And so how about for us? Last week in the combined service, I know a lot of you guys were on the third floor, but in the combined service, I spoke from Matthew, and Jesus was talking about the cost of being a disciple. And he said, you want to follow me, you've got to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. That's how much it cost for the OG name brand God. But guess what? A lot of people don't want to pay the price. It's a steep price. We talked about it last week in combined service. It's a tough price to do that. But the warning that God gives Israel and the warning that Jesus gave people back in Matthew still applies. That if you go after the knockoffs, it's just going to be self-defeating. Jesus said, even if you gain the whole world, it's still not going to be worth your soul. The only way is to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. And so my encouragement for you guys is not to go back home and demand name brand stuff from your parents. It's to go with God, to follow after Jesus, even though the price is high. It's worth it. Because everything else you try to fill in, whether it's who's going to lead me? Where am I going to get my direction life from? Who's going to love me? Who's going to protect me? Those are questions that all of us are asking. Those are questions that everyone outside these walls are asking. Everyone of your friends is asking. And if they haven't found the answer in God, the answer is going to be a cheap knockoff that's going to blow up in their face. So you need to be sure you've got the OG, you've got the brand name God, and you pay the price. Pay that price. Deny yourself. Take up your cross daily and follow him. But it's worth it. It's worth it in a way that no other knockoff thing you replace God with can. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you are the God that is above every God. You alone hold all power and all dominion. You alone are the one who wants to lead us by still waters and good pastures. You're the one who loves us like no one else will. You're the one who will protect us like no one else will. Lord, help us to be people who refuse any kind of imitation, who says no to any knockoffs, says, no, I'm willing to pay the price for the best, for that which will last, for the God that will lead me faithfully, for the God that loves me and will never forsake me. The God who has engraved my name in the palm of his hands. Help us, Lord, to stay faithful and to follow after you. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.